episode 17. And that's not really a celebration, is there? We celebrated 15, quinceañera, and then we did a sweet 16. The only 17 I can think of is a really good Sex Pistols song.
17, I don't know. Girls do like debutantes at 17 or something? I'm not, I just started coming up with the little milestones just because.
I know, but 17 doesn't really ring a bell for me.
Yeah, if anyone knows that,
let us know.
17 is a milestone, then let us know what 17 does for you. Other than be legal to have sex, consensual sex, Yeah.
Let us know. But we're here for your listening pleasure on YouTube and SoundCloud.
Yes, and thank you to the listeners in SoundCloud for following. We've gotten new members again. Awesome. Thank you. Welcome to the show. I hope you enjoy. Because I'm going to enjoy.
We always do.
So this weekend has been very relaxing.
Yeah.
And we've recovered from the Easter mayhem.
Easter mayhem recovery.
Yeah.
Got a lot done yesterday, though.
And this week I baked a lot of cakes for birthdays and Easter and stuff like that.
It seems that this is the season for you and baking cakes.
Yeah.
I got a lot done yesterday, though, even though the day flew by.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like every little thing I did.
It was like every second I had the chance to look at the clock, it was like 3 hours had already passed.
I don't know what happened, but it was good.
We get into these like weird time warps or something.
I swear. We get abducted by aliens.
Right? Seriously. And Penny's finally getting over the Easter crud, so to speak.
Yes. I think all the dead ducks, as in toy ducks, are all
pooped out. Yay!
Woo!
I was afraid we would have to take her to the vet.
Nah, she's got a stomach made of lead.
No kidding.
If there already wasn't a blues artist named Lead Belly, that could be her name.
So I was this weekend, since we were relaxing a bit and still trying to do our thing, in between all that, I watched a documentary on Netflix called Take Your Pills.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh, that was insane. I don't even think I watched the entire thing, but it definitely caught my interest.
Oh, yeah?
Or my attention, at least. And, after watching the documentary or watching what I did watch, it was like, man, that sucks. I wish they would have prescribed Aderol for me.
Why?
Because it seems that Aderol makes you focus more, and it helps. It is from the aspect of Aderol actually helping somebody, and then the aspect of abusing Aderol. I think when you look at how Aderol does help these kids that feel like maybe they're a little bit slower because they don't understand or they have a hard time focusing, and you give them these pills and then all of a sudden it just clicks, the light turns on for them.
Amphetamines have a tendency of doing that.
Yeah, and
did you know that Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols learned to play the guitar from knowing nothing to what you hear on Nevermind the Bollocks in 3 months? On amphetamines.
I wasn't aware of that.
Black Beauties is what it was called back then, and it was illegal. Uh-huh. But that's essentially what you give kids today, prescribing Aderol.
That's insane.
Amphetamine. So, of course, they're going to do wonders. My question is, what's going to happen once they burn out? Because sooner or later, that's what amphetamines and speed do for you. And also, what's going to happen when they don't get their fix, even though it's doctor prescribed?
Right.
And they get into a major depression that then can't be treated the normal way you treat depression because they are quote unquote drug addicts.
Ew.
So you have to try to find alternative ways of treating depression. Without getting into it, I've seen it up close firsthand, not me, but others, and it's a living nightmare. So I'm not.
I can imagine. I know what that's kind of like.
I'm not big on the whole
Not to that
Aderol.
extent.
I'm not on the Aderol train for that simple reason that you can call it what you want. Bottom line is it's speed, which is the street name for it. And you take that for a longer time and shit catches up with you.
Yeah.
You're also more prone to get heart failure and heart disease and
of course,
liver
because it makes
disease.
your heart speed up all the time.
Yep. So I'm sure. I mean,
Or
yeah.
makes your heart race, I guess, is to...
Not that we're condoning drugs on this show, but
No,
sure,
definitely not.
Any sort of speed is great for short-term goals. You don't have to sleep much. You get hyper-focused. Like I said, Steve Jones learned how to play the guitar. Someone else I know went from not being able to draw stick figures into being a really good artist
Wow.
on it. But there's consequences catching up, so I wonder when this generation of Wonder Kids hit 40,
Right.
what we're going to see then.
Yeah, because it seems like they really pumped those kids full of those meds.
Yeah, and like I said, back in the 60s, speed was predominantly used as diet pills for women. And 70s, it was just, trucker pills.
Yeah.
And now they're doing Aderol.
In case you hear the barking, that's actually Kingsley barking downstairs and Penny that just went outside to go see what's going on. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry for the interruption.
But yeah, I'm sure I didn't see the documentary. I'm sure it was a fascinating documentary, but it sounds a little bit one-sided from the perspective of the documentary.
I honestly don't think so, because it did give both points, and it did talk about both sides of the spectrum, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, I liked it because it was, you see both sides.
It was fair and balanced.
It was fair and unbiased. Yeah, that's what I think it was. I guess from what I saw, because I didn't see all of it. I was kind of like doing things back and forth, but still kind of paying attention. That's where my ADD comes from.
Maybe you should try some Aderol.
Maybe. My bullshit of the week this week is going to be basically calling out Gawkers.
Bullshit.
Gawkers? What's that?
Yeah, people who stare and stare obviously in public. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so the other day I had to go to the grocery store to get some baking supplies, and I was standing in the aisle. Looking for my specific ingredient, and I see a guy pushing his kid in a cart off to the side, and I see him coming, so I kind of step back to make sure that he has enough room to pass by. And
you were being courteous in the grocery store?
I am always courteous. I'll be courteous as long as you're courteous. If you're courteous to me, I will be courteous to you. That's all there is to it. But so this guy passes by, and as he's passing by, he's just full on staring at my chest. I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was so obvious. I got a little scared. And then
because he was staring at your boobs.
Yeah. And I was like, that I'm very uncomfortable now. And then even as he's walking out of the aisle and turning, he like turns back and stares at me again, and I'm like, dude, you're with your kid. You're being so obvious. I'm like,
the absolutely
you
creepiest
obviously
thing is like
think
you
that
have
this
your
is
fucking kid with you and think you're gonna pick up someone.
Exactly. And I was just like,
guys, that whole thing with kids and picking up chicks only works in the comedy movies,
right? I guess it, yeah, because I don't know if that would.
Nobody ever gawks me, but let me just tell you, if a mom with 3 kids did it, it doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was just totally weirded out by the situation because I was by myself. And I mean, I should have no reason to be afraid or scared, but I just was weirded out. And I was talking to my coworkers about it the other day, and they were like, "Oh, hell no, I'd tell him off, blah, 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 da, 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 da," you know, and I'm like, honestly, think about it. Would you really say that if you were put in my shoes at that point?
Yeah, that one, but it goes for a lot of things.
I mean, because like if somebody were to ask me that, I'd be like, yeah, I tell the motherfucker off or whatever, you know, but when you're actually put in that situation, it's just like, what?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's easy to say, oh, I would have just fill in the blank. But truth is, until you're put in a specific situation, and especially if it's like a
social,
not just social, but like an odd or scary situation, truth is you don't quite know how you'll react.
Exactly. And I think it all depends on your mood too.
Depends on your mood, depends on what kind of, you know, this, like you said, social situation. Are there people around? Are there not? Because at the same time, yeah, oh, I would yell, "You fucking motherfucker," this and that. Well, you're in a grocery store full of other people.
Is that quite appropriate?
So
even though whatever that person did wasn't appropriate, but you don't have to take it a step further and be more inappropriate.
Being what the fuck, you asshole, in public. And that's what you always kind of, oh, if I was in that situation, I would say it. But when I do it, you're kind of like, shh, that's not appropriate. There's kids around. So yeah, it is hard to like, it's easy to say that, oh, I would have done this or I would have done that. And that, like I said, that doesn't just go for if you're being unwantedly stared at. It goes for a lot of things. One of the facts I once again, don't propose that everybody owns a gun and keeps it in their house. It's, oh, a burglar comes and I would just shoot him. Bam, bam, bam. Oh, would you really? Because chances are you'd be scared to fucking death and end up getting shot yourself.
Exactly. And then, I mean, or your kid ends up finding the gun and shoots his head off, right? Live streaming it on Facebook or something. Because I think it has happened. I think there's been several deaths that have actually live streamed due to like gun accidents.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me.
At least I think so.
So are we calling bullshit on people that creep other people out by staring at their tits? Or are we calling bullshit on the people that tell you how they would have reacted in a certain situation?
I would have to say,
or both.
The people that gawk, per se. You know, it's it happened all the time in retail when I worked in retail and stuff like that. Not that I was being gawked at. It may have been like a coworker or something, and it was like I was the one that always had to go save them from being hit on by some 70-year-old spinster or whatever, you know. It was crazy. But yeah.
I can see that being creepy.
Yeah, it was just, I was totally creeped out. I haven't been creeped out like that in a while. So it was a momentous moment for me, I guess.
People like it if it's too obvious.
Yeah.
Like, you know, being stared at. I don't like being stared at regardless of why the fuck people stare.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like going out there to try to find somebody or...
But then why would you bring your kid?
Hey, maybe you don't have a choice, and maybe that person's being honest and upfront and saying, hey, this comes with a package.
Hey, guys.
I mean, because literally the grocery store at that point in time was like a meat market. There were like a lot of single men shopping with their half shopping carts.
Uh-huh.
And just like staring around at all the women and stuff. And I was like, oh God, this is disgusting.
Keep in mind, two single guys at the grocery store. Once again, we're not living in the movie world. We're living in real life. Right. I would say most of those women are taken already. So chances of finding the one at your local grocery store with your kid staring at their tits won't get you much.
Right. Unless it's a John Hughes film or something. I don't know.
Right, but we're not in, like I said, we're not in movie land, so.
Oh, that's what I mean. It's, you know, that's a good thing to call bullshit on too, is Hollywood for assuming that, or making people assume that, you know, the stuff that happens in the rom-coms actually work in real life.
Yeah, well, I think that's a complete different episode of the Podsters. I think Hollywood is to blame for a lot of things.
But who are we? I mean, we should blame ourselves for, or at least blame the people that think that life should be like the rom-coms.
Yeah, but there's plenty of people out there. I'd say we're an exception. There's a lot of people who think that life should work like
A movie.
the rom-com. Yeah, a movie. John Cusack should show up with his boombox over his head in
Like
the pouring
every
rain.
love moment or whatever.
Right. A little piano music and... And that's not life. But life's good anyways. Real life is a lot of times better than movies.
Much better than the movies.
So, yeah, we're calling bullshit on titty starers.
Gawkers.
Gawkers. And another thing, well, we already called bullshit, so I'm not going to call bullshit. But this segment is for our music lovers. And that is something that bugs me a lot.
Which is?
Mainstream artists, like artists that have made it, they're almost a household name. Mm-hmm. They're making...
Maybe like Adam Levine,
Queens of the... Beyonce.
Wait a minute. Did you just mention Queens of the Stone Age?
Oh, don't know if I did. I was just going to mention them. When it comes to... See, here's the thing. More than anything, I blame the rock artists that block things on, especially YouTube. That's where they can block their music. Mm-hmm. And especially rock artists. And yes, Queens of the Stone Age is on that list. You also have Led Zeppelin, the Beatles. They aggressively go out and block anything that has anything to do with their music. Like if there's music of them, they block the content.
Oh, really?
Yes. And
that's kind of shisty.
Yeah, and I'm calling bullshit on that, even though it's not a bullshit segment. I think it's really stupid because I fully understand that Queens of the Stone Age, for instance, if they have a brand new album out and the album gets uploaded so people can listen to it for free on YouTube, I understand that those sort of blocks. But these artists, they go and block anything and everything. So if I sit down and start playing a Queens of the Stone Age song here, and we actually were honest and put it in the description, our whole episode would be blocked from YouTube. And it kind of bugs me because that, to me, and other people, in a sense, is killing off rock and roll. We've been on this debate for a long time. I mean, that's kind of one of our main things. Rock and roll is dying.
Yeah, it's definitely dying, and we're trying to diagnose it.
Right, we're trying to revive it, kind of thing. And to me, blocking certain contents. For instance, what brought this up was record producer and musician Rick Beato has his own channel on YouTube. And he has a segment called What Makes This Song Great? So you can tell even from what he names those episodes is he's actually given a lot of credit and kudos to an artist and a song.
Okay.
And what he does is he basically breaks down the song from the drums, what makes this song great? Oh, listen to this riff, listen to the bass line. That's a really talented songwriter or lyricist. I mean, it's a positive thing. He doesn't rag on artists. He really elevates the status of the artist and song by doing this to a fairly large audience. And when that's being done and done right, like in Rick's case, he doesn't get the money from that episode. The artist gets the money that episode brings, depending on how many views it is. And usually it's not a whole lot of money, but nonetheless, it's not like he capitalizes on somebody else's work. Now, last week he was going to do a Queens of the Stone Age song in this category, and they went and blocked it. They took it off the air.
Are you serious?
I am drop dead serious, and I would love if anybody from the Queens of the Stone Age or their management, we are free to get you on this show and not taking away from your artistical talent. But Josh and the other guys, you're fucking stupid when you guys do this, because we are in a situation where it is I don't think rock and roll will ever die, but we're in a situation where rock music is no longer up on the charts.
Right.
We are in a decline of guitar heroes. Mm-hmm. Less and less kids are buying guitars. I mean, Gibson dug their own grave, but we can see it in general in terms of instrument sales, etc. The electric guitar isn't what it was in the 70s and 80s when every little guy wanted to pick up a guitar and become the next Jimmy Page. Mm-hmm. And also, when it comes to stuff like that, the few kids today that still want to aspire to play, they have other heroes. When it comes to blockers, they don't care about Paul McCartney or Jimmy Page. They like Jack White. So if you guys want to keep
that's also going to interfere with the discovery of their music from younger listeners.
Yes.
And, from there, you're going to sample stuff on YouTube and eventually go buy it on iTunes or something like that.
Yes, and especially in, like I said, a segment like Rick's, he doesn't just play the song. It's not like, okay, guys, listen to this great song. He's talking about a song. So it's not like he's using it in its full, just playing it to people. But like you say, yes, something like that could inspire young listeners that have never heard of Queens of the Stone Age to go, wow, I really like this.
They're killing their audience base.
Yes. They're killing their audience base, which, quite frankly, if one band does it, I don't give a shit. If you're that stupid, then go ahead and kill yourself off and just realize that next time around you won't sell any albums or any arenas or anything because you're killing your audience. But it's a thing where a lot of artists are doing it, and it's almost like they think that they're too good to have this done. But the truth is, a lot of young kids don't know the Beatles today. Yeah. They think in their own that they're going to be the next Beethoven and Mozart.
The only thing that they're going to realize, like, they'll hear a song that somebody covered a Beatles song with, you know what I mean? And they'll be like, oh, did you hear that song that so-and-so sang? That's right. Like a new song. And it's like, hello, no, that was the Beatles, and too bad you can't go onto YouTube to look them up. And
but even then, that's the problem. You can't really go look them up because you're constantly killing
what they have
up. And I mean, that's actually obvious, and it wasn't a joke. There were people when Paul McCartney played with, who was it?
Foo Fighters?
No. Was it Kanye with some hippity hop?
Oh, I think it was Kanye.
Kanye and someone else, right? There were 3 people.
Yeah.
Well, anywho, I'm so old that I don't know the new people, Kanye and whoever it was. But the young crowd were actually like tweeting out to these artists that they were so nice to this old man who couldn't sing to bring him on stage and maybe fulfill his lifelong dream of being an artist. There's actually kids out there that had no idea who Paul McCartney is.
Yeah.
And he's still alive. So by blocking your own music, you won't get new listeners. The kids today, they don't care.
What's going on, Billy Campbell? You're not like, oh, wait a minute, I meant Paul McCartney. Are you not making enough money in your retirement? Are you even retired? Like, maybe you should be, since the last couple of things I've seen him in, it's been kind of shaky.
Yeah, it's about time to retire, Billy.
It's time.
Paul.
Buddy, it's just time.
But
go retire, drink a spot of tea in the morning, and have a biscuit.
Yeah, that's all he can have because he's vegetarian. No, but I mean, there's a lot of artists. Like I said, we have the Beatles, and in that case, it's the estate of them. So it's Paul and Yoko and whoever else. Led Zeppelin are blockers. Fleetwood Mac. So a lot of these dinosaurs, but actually that did something for musical history up until this point. You keep this up and you'll be forgotten. And Queens of the Stone Age, Josh, I've heard you with Steve Jones on his channel, how you guys are whining about how rock and roll is dying and your record sales and blah, 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 blah. Take it from Steve. He's a cool guy. Sex Pistols you can put in context on YouTube and they don't block. So feel free to come on the show and discuss this. We won't make any money off it. We're a non-profit. We're not making money off of this. And another thing that's stupid with this, like I said, when it's used in a context like Rick's, he doesn't make the money. So, Josh, you would have gotten $200 extra. Guys, let us know what you think. I think it in the long term.
Is this a good thing? Is this something that bands should do, in order to, I guess, eventually make a buck on your product kind of thing?
Well, I mean, to me, it's like when it's done in this way, the band does make the money. The band gets all the promotion really from it. Mm-hmm. I want to know why you would turn down that free promotion that's done correctly. Like I said, I fully understand if somebody uploads the brand new Queens of the Stone Age album for everybody to listen to for free. Yes, I understand that's being blocked. But when it comes to A, it's old material, B, it's used in a very positive light. And you are monetizing on it because YouTube would send you the money, the artist the money. Why do you go in and block it at the same time as you're crying about the whole decline of rock and roll? You're not helping much, are you?
And on that note, I bid you adieu.
We bid you adieu. Let us know your thoughts and comments either on YouTube or SoundCloud, or you can jump into Facebook to the Podsters, join us there and post a comment, or you can email us at thepodsters@gmail.com, and that's podsters with a Z. Till next week, take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.